your sales pitch. That's right. That's what we're going to talk about on this episode. And if you're having trouble on easing your prospect at the time of presenting to them, meaning that you can kind of sense the awkwardness, you can sense their defense mechanism, their way of being guarded, and it's interrupting your ability to present, because it's almost like your prospect is more focused on the objections that they want to give. They're more focused on ensuring that they tell you no. They're more focused on ensuring that they tell you that they have to think about it, that they need to talk about it later on, or give them a couple days, whatever excuse that they come up with. Are you having issues with transitioning from sales conversation to your sales pitch? And if you are, then this video is going to be very helpful for you. I believe that prospects act this way when they're being presented to, when they're being pitched an offer. And it doesn't need to be from you. It could be from any salesperson. You have to understand that society, because of technology and social media, TV, radio, mail, all of our attention from the moment we wake up to the second we go to sleep, there are just all of these things that are fighting for our attention, not to mention sales ads. And so if you think about it, like if you really, really kind of pay attention just to your day, imagine how many offers you are given. Try and count it. Like how many different offers, solicitations, pitches, sales, right? Like from billboards, well, not necessarily billboards as much, but from banner ads to social media to, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything is a fucking sale, right? And so even when we're at the stores, like, hey, can I upsell you? Hey, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? Everything is fighting for attention, not to mention the text messaging, the emails, the DMs, there's just so much going on, right? So I believe that prospects are naturally wired to repel these different offers. More importantly, I want to observe the fact that prospects are programmed to go into a defensive state when they're being pitched or offered something. And I believe that if you go about it in a different way, meaning you transition from your sales conversation to your sales pitch in a more smooth, covert, persuasive way, you have an increased chance to closing that sale. But it's going to require patience. It's going to require, you practicing. It's going to require repetition. But hear me out. So where I believe a lot of sales are not happening right now is when it's going straight into a one-call close, meaning that the sales conversation and the sales pitch, at least in my industry, and I sell financing for real estate, residential real estate. And so there are some people on the floor who still try to do the one-call close. And, some of them will pan out, some of them don't. But at the end of the day, what you want to do and what you want to ensure you do is position yourself properly to increase the likelihood of you making that sale, or the last 45 minutes or the last hour or however long it took for you to get to that point of the presentation, of the sales pitch, would all be sacrificed and gone in vain because of our lack of patience, because of our decision to instead of absorb and digest all the information. This is on both sides of the table. Your prospect needs some time to digest the information. You and I, we talk this language every day. Your prospects are about to hear some abbreviations, some terminology, that they are not aware of. And as you know, it's human nature to fear or repel away or go away from anything you don't know. That things that are outside of your comfort zone, it's just it doesn't mix, right? And so this is why it's effective to give them time to digest the information you just covered on your sales conversation. And so I like to do a 2-call close. I prefer to do a 2-call close because it gives me the ability to rehearse my presentation. It gives me the opportunity to ensure I check off all the benefits. And when I roll out benefits, I don't just say a benefit. You know what I mean? I create what's called a trickled benefit. Meaning if I help you do A, it's then going to lead to B, then C, then D, then E, then F, right? And this enables me to paint the picture and create a map to show them a clear path of how to get their objective handled, and then some. Now I'm more valuable. And I think that a lot of it has to do with because I'm reiterating what their intentions were, what their goals are, and I paid attention, so now I'm simply regurgitating the information right back to them. And I think that has a lot to do with why, you know, the sales presentation ends so smoothly, and all the expectations set up, the urgency is set, the curiosity, the anticipation, the loyalty, the trust is all set. And it's a challenge to fuse in from a sales conversation to a pitch. Most pitches start off like this. All right, I got some options for you. Please grab a pen and paper. Option number 1, your interest rate is 4.5. No closing cost. Here's your payment. This will do this, and this will save you this, and this will pay off your debt, blah, 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 right? And the reason why I think that that's ineffective is because, number 1, you started off by saying options. So now, instinctively, they're going to want to know, if they don't agree with the first one, they're going to want to know what the second one is. And just like you and I, we have issues with patience, right? They have issues with patience. And so in other words, when you say, I got option 1, and then you immediately start off with telling them the rate, if that individual was all about hearing you say you got the lowest rate, all about hearing you say you got the lowest fee, they are seeing advertised elsewhere that adjustable rate mortgage fee, that ARM rate, right? And they're assuming that it's fixed because, again, they don't know the language like you and I do. And so that's why I believe it's ineffective, is because when you start off with option number 1, this is your rate, and then you go down the line of benefit, they're not going to absorb it as strongly because you've already desensitized their interest, right? You've kind of deflected their interest by saying the interest rate. Wow. It's a fucking coinky ding. So by you saying 4.5 and them not agreeing with 4.5 and them already being preset to believe that this is an option, it's too easy for them to ignore the rest. And so because you started off with 4.5 and then you went into the benefits, you went into the path, and even if you did hear everything correctly, you did listen, you did ask the right questions, all they heard was 4.5. Now they've muted you out, and they're now in their head rushing you, say, okay, well, I don't like that one, what's the next offer? Right? And it's like, that doesn't apply to me, I don't like 4.5, I want 3.5. What's your next offer? What's your next option? And that is why I believe there's no actual pull, there's no anticipation, there's no curiosity, is because we kind of showed our cards before we strategized the game, right? We showed what we're working with. Instead, I would invite you to do this. At your second call, if you set up an appointment and you find out in the first conversation that there is another person involved because they said we, or they said that, oh, my wife pays the bills, or they said that, oh, I'm not sure what that balance is, my wife handles that, or my husband handles that, then you need to ensure that that other person is involved. There are always two parties that play a role in the decision making. That one party is a decision influencer, and this could be anything from parents to friends to coworkers to a spouse, and then a decision maker, right? And typically that's the person who you know for sure is on the loan. And you determine that there is another person, there's another party. So you ensure that you give the impression that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and cover the figures. I'm going to go and do my research, and this is the first conversation, right? I'm going to go and put together the proposal right now, and I'll have it ready by, let's say, 6 o'clock. Will your missus or will your decision influencer be there, whoever it is? If they're not, I can conference call them, or I could schedule a time where they're going to be present, because I want to make sure that I cover the information at one time, meaning that if you have to then go over the information with them, I don't want to leave you shorthanded, not having any answers. And also, since they're in charge of paying this bill or paying that debt, I want to make sure that they're part of the conversation to so that the information I'm releasing is accurate, and they'll appreciate it, as long as it sounds legit. And what happens is when you set that appointment for 6 o'clock, and let's say you got both people in there, start your pitch off this way. Give them a call at like 5:50. Give them a call at 6. Fuck it. I like to do a little bit beforehand because they're anticipating the disclosure. So I might call them at 5:30, and I might say, "Hey, Jim. Hey Jim. You know what? I was putting together the package for both you and Shirley. I'm gonna email it to your Yahoo account right now. In doing so, I actually found something. I want to run it by both of you real quick. If she's there, put me on speakerphone. I want to ask your guys' input on something before I release this to your email. And and what I'd like to do first is cover a few things. So go ahead and put me on speakerphone. Transition a little bit smoother than that. But you'd mentioned Jim and Shirley. Hi, nice to meet you. My name's Daniel. I talked to Jim earlier today. Jim was sharing with me, and then now you start reiterating the goals, right? Because you're priming them to want. And if you miss the specific goal, then Shirley, or the decision influencer, Shirley could be the decision maker for all you know, right? And so you are kind of priming them, you're conditioning them to get back to that emotional state, to realize and accept where they are currently, meaning where they are currently is they want a monthly or they want a lower rate, because the lower payment will create monthly savings so they can afford the cost of living, and they can afford the tuition for their kid, and they can afford the bills on their fixed income, whatever it may be. You're priming them and conditioning them back into that mind state so that they are aware and absorbed, right? And how you're able to do this is because you didn't call in and say, hey, I got the options for you. So when you called in, they didn't go into a guard, they didn't clench up. But when you called in and said, hey, I'm putting the information together for you, I'm going to release it right now. I just want, I found something. I want to run it by you before I release this information to ensure that it's correct. And I also want your feedback on something. Now they're more, yeah, what's up? What do you need? Right? It's a different mindset. It's a different, I guess, approach. And because you're making noise in a different way, you're going to catch them off guard. And that's exactly what you do, is you catch them off guard. And so now they're more in tune because they want to help you. It's like, yeah, what'd you find? It's almost like, it's kind of like when hey man, you want to know a secret? It's like, yeah, what do you got? Like you almost lean in, and now you got the mic, and that's how you take control. Just like the sales script. If you haven't checked out the sales script, look at the link below the notes. Download it. It's free. Use your personal email. Don't use a business email. Your personal email is going to be more likely to receive the message, and it's a free sales script. The psychology is the same. It's just that sales script is all about the inbound, right? Like when you get connected to a lead, this is how you take control of the conversation. And so the same thing applies with your sales pitch. Is when you catch them off guard and you got their full attention, you have the ability to reprime them. Because you were talking to Jim. Jim may have had 3 hours since you last talked to him, and Jim went through fucking 2 hours of traffic, had one business meeting, and all these different things happen. And then also Shirley was not even part of the fucking conversation. So now we're assuming that Jim gave us all the details and information when Shirley wasn't there, and Shirley's the decision maker. Shirley handles the bills. And so by me repriming them, I'm able to confirm with Shirley that this is the correct state, and also prime her to get both of them back into that emotional state of needing, right? Because when they need, then I can give, and if I have a solution, they're going to take it. And so when you get there, I want to run this by you. You had mentioned in the first call, this and this and this was important to you. And hey, Shirley, he had mentioned that you guys plan to use the monthly savings to pay off on the credit card debt. How much are you paying on that credit card debt? Oh, $500 per month. Okay, let me go ahead and update that because Jim wasn't too sure. So I don't want to use the minimum payment or the payment that shows on the credit report if you're sending above and beyond that. On the flip side, if they're sending the minimum payment set, you can actually anchor it right then and there. Oh, okay, so you're actually sending the minimum payment. I see. So you're not sending above and beyond. I see. I get it. Okay. And now you're reminding them that they're just in this cycle of debt. and say, okay, because you had mentioned that this is important to you, when I was going through the disclosures, and I'm going to release it right now, I found an alternative option that I wanted to get your input on, because this will help you achieve all those goals and then some, right? And so if Jim were just calling for the lowest rate, but we can help Jim with a refinance, cash out, debt consolidation, because we then found out that their credit report and their credit score had been weighed down from all the debt. And we find all these other things that is opposite of what Jim was asking, or what Shirley told Jim to ask all throughout the first conversation of, hey, we just want your lowest rate. We just want your lowest rate. We just want your lowest rate. Because Jim and Shirley only understand that their mortgage payment is tied to a rate. And if they go lower on the rate, then that means they get a lower payment. And if they get a lower payment, then they have the solution for all the debt. And so we only see the surface, and we only hear, I want a lower rate, until we dig underneath the surface and find out what their true intentions were with the results. We won't necessarily know how to pitch them, right? And when you reiterate what they plan to do with the solution, and they hear it out in your own words, more importantly, Shirley, who was never part of the conversation, clearly validates that you know them. She is the decision maker, and even if Jim says, okay, well, let's talk about it, you left a good impression. You left the call where Shirley was like, oh man, this guy's good. This guy's really good. You know, how did he know all that? Little did she know Jim was giving you all the valuable information because you used the sales script correctly and you extracted all the right information. That is how you position yourself to create that sale. Do you want to know what else? Do you want to know how to create the urgency? I'm going to share that with you on my next video. Be sure you stick around, hit that subscription button, hit the bell, make sure you're put on the Facebook, the Instagram, of course here on YouTube, and any channel that you see Sales Your Masters. Support the brand. Share this video link with someone who needs to see this. Leave me a like, leave me a comment if you have a chance, and if not, I'm all good. I understand that I will continue working to earn that thumbs up and earn that comment. I'm good. I'm gonna be here for a minute, Playboy. I appreciate your time and attention. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.